Hey guys, welcome back. Well, today we are once again tow charging the Model 3 with version 9 software in a much more scientific environment to try and get a better handle not only on will it tow charge, but what are some of the numbers. So let's get into it. Alright guys, welcome back. So as you heard in the intro, we are tow charging the Model 3 again today. Now I'm doing this a second time for a couple of reasons. First off, I got home after doing the initial tow testing only to find that after plugging my car in, I got a notification that version 9 software was available. So I went ahead and had that downloaded, and one of the features of the version 9 software, which as a sidebar I'll be doing a full report on the version 9 software. I've already begun filming clips. It'll be a multi-part video series on version 9 software, but one of the features of version 9 software is stronger regen. So I don't know that that's going to affect us much today because we're going to be towing it relatively slowly, maybe up to 20 miles an hour or so, and I get the impression that the stronger regen is more than likely available primarily at higher speed, but we're going to do it anyway. Also, the last video, all we really did was towed it 0.3 of a mile up a street, disconnected it, I turned around and drove it back. We weren't trying to get any specific numbers. I just wanted to know, would it tow charge? And that day it happened to be rainy. Today, though it's overcast, it's dry, it's just going to be better to work with today. And plus I wanted to be able to digest what we had done previously and be able to use that information to better facilitate this test, I guess you'd say. Just I wanted to think about what we did last time. How could we improve on it? And let's face it, I'd never watched anyone tow charge an EV before on regen, so I had no idea what to expect. And quite often you don't know the questions to ask or the things to look at until you just dive into something. So last test we dove into it. Today we're going to sift a little bit more through some of the specifics. And again, with the version 9 software now, this will be more relevant. So let's get into it. Alright, so we're approaching the neighborhood that we're going to be doing the testing on, and you can see here it's kind of a kidney bean shaped oval with just one entrance and exit. It's a pretty secluded little neighborhood, so that's where we're going to pull in, and we're going to just do a couple circles around that neighborhood. Okay, so we are going to do a lap around this neighborhood. It's a little over 0.4 of a mile. We'll try and maintain about 15 miles an hour. Maybe we'll get up to 20 depending on how much strain it is on the tow car. So couple things right now. We're starting at 227 miles of range on the battery, so we'll see if that goes up by a mile or two of range. And in the energy consumption here, you can see a big spike from where I was warming the cabin, but we'll be monitoring that also. And you can see the neighborhood that we're in is a kidney-shaped kind of oval. So this should be good. And all right, so right now I am in, let's see, driving. I have creep mode turned off. That's important. If I had creep mode on, it makes towing difficult because my car would automatically try to ease forward. So if you want to try this, you want to turn creep mode off. Right now I'm in drive, but the brake hold is on. So as soon as we start going, I'll tap the accelerator just to turn off the brake hold. And so, all right, I'll reset that. And I've got my son on the phone, so I'll be talking to him while we go ahead and tow. So, all right, Jeremiah, go ahead and ease forward.
Mohawk, this is Redbeard. Are we clear for takeoff?
We are clear for takeoff. Over.
Commencing takeoff in 3, 2, 1. And we are a go.
All right, we already have brake regen showing up on the screen. So just obviously make sure, I don't know if there's any cars parked on this road or not, so.
Extra 10 points?
Yeah, 10 points per car. 20 points if we both hit the car.
Ooh.
Does it feel like it's creating any drag on your car?
Oh, she's struggling, Mama.
Okay, well, just, I don't want you to hurt the car, so just...
Nah, she's a trooper.
All right, how many miles does that thing have on it?
193,000, sir.
193,000 miles. Before I bought the Tesla, for those of you that don't know, that Ford C-Max hybrid that my son's towing me in was my regular daily car for running my business. Great car, averaged 50 miles to the gallon through the life of the car, and now he's got it, and hopefully it'll have a long life with him driving. Only had a couple minor problems with that car. It's actually been a good vehicle. So,
and if you notice it now, the C-Max is the one towing the Tesla, so, you know.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, I maybe I should use that as the title for this video. Tesla got towed by a C-Max hybrid today.
Yeah. This is definitely the superior automobile, I do say so myself.
All right, so we're going to be approaching stop sign here, and you can see the energy conservation is way down in the green here on the screen. That is awesome. This is really going to give us some decent data. All right, so let's slow down and come to a stop here at the stop sign, and then we'll go ahead and do another lap. There's some slack in the line, so ease forward real slow to take up the slack.
We going around again, Mohawk?
Yeah, go ahead and go around again.
All right, we are a go.
All right, very cool. I figure the longer we go, the better the data will be. So
that is the logical conclusion, sir.
So for those of you that don't know, I just got the version 9 software installed in the car, so the regen is stronger now, and so that's why we're doing this this test today. So you can probably keep it down at about maybe 16-ish miles an hour or so. There we go.
Am I going too fast for you, sir?
Well, it's just a technical thing. The regen line in my car shows that that's about the limit of the amount of braking regen I'll be getting anyway, so. Okay, we'll come to a stop here. All right, put your car in park. I'll put mine in park.
Stop, Mohawk.
All right, I'll hang up the phone now. All right, so you can see this is interesting. After exactly 1 mile of driving, it shows negative 1,025 watt-hours per mile, and I've gone up to 230 miles of range. And you can see here that it predicts that I'll have 999 miles of range if we continue in our stated course. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to drive around the neighborhood at about the same speed for exactly 1 mile, and that should be 2 full laps, and we'll see how much energy we use in that mile. Well, you can see here that we towed it for 1 mile, and then I drove it for 1 mile, and we still have negative 489 watt-hours per mile of consumption. So I'm going to drive around until that equals out and see how much range we get doing the exact same drive. It looks like we may end up with about twice as many miles driven as we towed the car to reach that point. So let's see here. Wow, absolutely fantastic. So you can see at this point that we've gone 5 miles total. We tow charged the car for 1 mile exactly, and we've driven 4 additional miles, and we still have negative 170 watt-hours of energy in the pack. So we're still in the green here. So if we go to the 15-mile range, you can see that entire green section, but I'm going to keep driving. It looks like we can get maybe 1 more mile out of it, but as of now, we've driven 4 times as long as we've seen as we towed it. We've driven 4 times the distance on the energy that we gained through 1 mile of towing. Wow. This is absolutely amazing. So we drove 1 mile to tow charge the car. You can see that 1 mile here. Since then, I've driven 10 more miles And so we've got 11 miles total driven, 1 mile tow charging it, and 10 more miles on the range gained from the 1 mile of tow charging, and we still have energy left. I think at this point, I'm just going to drive home because I'm getting the evil eye from people in the neighborhood as I just do lap after lap after lap. But absolutely incredible, better than a 10-to-1 return on the range given. Now, you guys have to bear in mind, though, I've been driving around a relatively flat neighborhood at 18 to 22 miles per hour. That is where this car shines. Any EV really shines at low speed. So I don't know how accurate all these numbers are going to be represented, but I can tell you, though, that I purposely wanted to drive in the same area we towed it, at the same speed we towed the car, just to get a good idea of what we can expect out of this. So, but at this point, I'm going to drive back around to the exit of the neighborhood, and I'm going to start driving home, and we'll see how much range we get. But the power consumption is going to go up quite a bit because I'm not going to be putting around a neighborhood at 20 miles an hour. I'll be actually driving home at a normal speed. But this has been absolutely incredible. Far more range per mile of tow than I ever expected. All right, so we've finally gone into the positives of watt hours per mile. This is absolutely amazing. We've gone 13.8 miles. 1 mile of tow charging gave us 12.8 miles of driving range before we started using energy again. Well, that was an absolutely incredible test. Wow, the numbers are way beyond what I was expecting. So when I first started this tow test, I thought, I bet we're going to gain 3 or 4 miles of driving for that 1 mile of tow. But this is nuts. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. We gained, it was little over 13 and a half miles of total travel with 1 mile of tow. So that would be about a 12 and a half to 1 return, 1 mile of tow and 12 and a half miles of driving beyond that. And you can see here the power consumption graph on my screen. You can see the power consumption graph on the screen here at a 15-mile scale. We towed it for 1 mile. There's a 30-mile scale. So we towed it for 1 mile, and then we drove it for 12 and a half miles after that. And that 1 mile of driving gave us 12 and a half miles of driving range before we started consuming any battery energy at that point. I mean, 12 and a half to 1 return is crazy. Now, I fully recognize that if you're going to tow charge the car, you're probably not going to drive at 18 or 20 miles per hour after you tow charge it. So this is not necessarily a very accurate test. I can tell you that I drove that neighborhood and I was getting about 100 watt hours per mile of putting around that neighborhood. And so that's a pretty good indicator of what if you're going to be driving the car at 35 or 40 miles an hour, you're going to be more like 225 watt hours per mile. So if you tow it 1 mile, you can probably expect about 5 miles of driving range at a 225 watt hour per mile consumption, which would be a 35 to 45 mile per hour drive. But I wanted to drive it in exactly the same neighborhood at the same speed we towed it at. And towing it at 18 miles an hour roughly gave us 12 and a half miles of driving at that speed. In fact, the remaining couple of miles beyond that was me driving 35 miles an hour to get home because I just got sick of driving around that neighborhood. I had proved the point that you can gain quite a bit of range by tow charging the car. So anyway, that concludes the test. By all means, go back and look at some of the data. And, this isn't super scientific, but I wanted to give you guys at least some decent numbers as to what you're looking at. So go ahead and give me a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And for those of you that are looking to buy a Tesla and you'd like some help on supercharging, go ahead and use my referral code. I'll put a link in the description below. I've gotten 4 referrals so far. For every referral the channel gets, it helps the channel and also helps the buyer of the car. So got some other cool videos coming up. Make sure that you click that subscribe button and the notification as well so that you can know when my newest videos are coming out. So thanks, guys. Take it easy. Have a good day.